Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Talk of the Town. We have a great panel here tonight, and we're going to discuss what's happened recently in the electoral process in the state, the county, and locally here in Bowie. On my left, Lynn Scarpon, an advisor to the comptroller, a major player in the legal fraternity here in Prince George's County, where if you have a will or an estate and you need some advice, go see Lynn. She's also the former Register of Wills, and she will and has done a great job in that area. Next to her on my left is Len Lucci, a partner in O'Malley, Miles, and Lucci, where he is probably a 70–80% rainmaker for that that business. And Len is very casual, but he represents the city of Bowie in Annapolis during the legislative session and always does a great job for us here in Bowie, and we're proud to have Len as our representative. And on my right, Fred doesn't like me to call him Fred anymore. It's Mayor Fred Robinson. I call him 88.8%. That's what he won his last election by. So I often say the city of Bowie that it's voted for Mayor Fred for many years, this time turned all out. Fred wonders what happened to the 12% that didn't vote for him, and he's looking for those people as we speak. Thanks. After those introductions, I'd like to start with, and I said, I was talking to your wife before I came over. She said, what are you going to talk about? I said, the election. She said, well, how would you start that? I said, I would start that by going to Lynn Scarpon and say, what do you think? What do you think about the last election? And she said, what do you think Lynn will say? Lynn will say to me, I told you so. But Lynn, what do you think? What happened? How did it happen? What can you tell us about it?
That's exactly what I want to say. I told you so.
That's true.
I am very happy about the county executive race. We talked about it.
Who won that?
Previously, Rashern Baker, former delegate. Rashern won with a pretty healthy margin. I think he's got the challenges ahead, and I have also said I don't know why anybody would even want that job, but he's got massive challenges in this county, but I think he's up to it. He needs to put together a great team, and I think he will do that. I think better days are ahead for Prince George's County.
Do you know anyone that he's considering now for a cabinet post in his administration?
I do not. No.
So it could be.
I understand he is putting together a transition team currently to advise him.
Do you know who's going to be on that?
I think our next panelist may be on it.
Our next panelist, who's to Lynn's right, is Len Lucci, as you know, the major partner in O'Malley, Miles, and Lucci, which eventually will be Lucci. They're dropping Miles, and I think O'Malley will still be hanging in there.
No, it'll just be Lucci, and Lucci.
Lucci, and Lucci. Could very well be. So, Len, what do you think? And if you're going to be on the transition team, you got a transition team, you've got to fess up.
I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Okay.
But statewide, it was a lot of change. There are more state senators who lost in the primary than I think ever before in modern Maryland history, which shows that people wanted change. And it was lower turnout than ever before and than anybody expected there would be, which poses a challenge for Governor O'Malley, who needs high turnout from Prince George's County in the November election. Other challenges for the governor, which I think he'll overcome, are in Baltimore City, where the incumbent prosecutor lost to a newcomer, which I think might be problematic for him. And in Baltimore County, a very hotly contested county executives race where the person who lost has not yet endorsed the person who won. And that could cause some division in the Democratic Party in a very critical Baltimore County. So there are a lot of warning clouds out there that I think can be addressed in the next 6 weeks, but they plainly exist.
Wow. What do you think, Mayor?
Well, I think they're both right. The elections were very, very interesting. I thought the numbers were lower than anybody anticipated, I think. but I think the elections in Prince George's County will offer some pretty good opportunities for the city. I think Mr. Baker went out of his way during the campaign to make sure that we understood that he recognized the value of Bowie to the county and the county to Bowie, and I'm looking for some positive things there. You got, 5 brand new members coming on the county council, so that's still a mystery as to how that's going to fall out, how they're going to interact amongst themselves, and how they're going to relate to the county executive. We have a new prosecutor, a young woman who I think is really, I was very impressed with Angela Elsebrooks at Elsewood. I think she's going to do a good job. And the new sheriff, I think, is probably going to be a good mix for them right now. I think things will settle very well there and go back to being a good complement to the police department in terms of other things. But all things well, I think there's going to be some adjustments with a new executive and a new council and others. But and then we have one change in our delegation. Geraldine Valentino Smith will, assuming she wins the general election, which I'm sure she will, we'll have a new member there, which I think bodes well for the community. And then I think the next thing to do is hunker down and watch what happens for the gubernatorial race in November.
One more aspect I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, is with regard to Bowie, there were 46 locations in the state for early voting. Bowie had by far the highest turnout. And I think part of that's because candidates really used the opportunity of the early voting to do very intensive get out the vote operations for neighborhoods that surrounded the Bowie Library, either with door hangers or phone calls or visits, but it was very aggressive, and I think the voters responded to that. I saw this video clip on the Washington Post website where they asked people at a polling place in Prince George's County, why do you vote a certain way? And the majority of the people who answered all said independently and spontaneously, it's because the person came to my house, knocked on my door, and asked for my vote. Had more of an impact on people than these huge, ugly signs or anything else.
I think that retail politics will always win if you really have enough energy and enough people to come with you to make an impact on a neighborhood. But Lynn, what you said earlier was that Baker won easily 44% of the vote, and he's going through a transition team phase. But you also then said anybody that's going to be the county executive now of Prince George's County has major challenges.
Absolutely.
And the question is, and especially when you just hear Fred with 5 new people on the county council, and we've not known for having great county councils. The ones in the past have not been super, and the recent one has not been super. Now we have 5 new council persons down there, and we really don't know what is going to go on. How does Baker, who has been around a while, how does he take these challenges? How do you increase the tax base in Prince George's County? What do you do? How does he really govern when the money is tough and tight, and you have a whole group of new people that you really don't know?
He just gets Lynn to write a check.
Lynn,
No.
as the advisor to the comptroller, yes.
I think he needs to surround himself with the best and the brightest, and I think he will do that. He's been around long enough, and he's been a delegate, and he's been in business, and he has great political contacts, and I hope, and I do believe that he will be able to find the best people to take over these departments and advise him. He can't do it all himself. He needs a great, strong, honest team. And I think he has indicated that he will pretty much clean house and start afresh. And that will I think that will increase the confidence the public has in his administration, and hopefully be able to get some things done. You're right, he's going to have almost an entirely new council to deal with. You know, we don't know how that will play out. Hopefully he will develop some good relationships with them, and they will work together on these serious challenges that we do have.
What do you think, Len?
I think this is the best opportunity for collaboration that the county's had in some time. He's the first county executive to come from Annapolis, and so he has alliances there already. A majority of the county council endorsed his election. Vast majority of the senators and delegates endorsed his election. He has the opportunity to bring everybody together. Now, the expectations are going to be set very high, and the Washington Post already did that with its editorial about the mark they're setting for him. And the challenges are going to be immediate, not just the shortfall of the budget, but the Prince George's Hospital and any number of things, collective bargaining agreements. All sorts of challenges will face him even before he gets sworn in on December 6th at 12 noon in Upper Marlboro. So it's going to be, he's going to be asking himself, I really wanted this job and I tried for it 3 times. But I think he's up to it.
Good, good. Fred?
Well, I think the one thing in his background that augurs very well, if you recall when he went to Annapolis and became chair of the delegation, he was the first one that really was able to convince the delegation that collectively they do much better if they come out and they hassle out their differences privately and then speak with one voice in dealing with the rest of the legislation. And as a consequence of that, I think that the delegation advanced significantly and our reputation advanced. When he left the delegation, I think that started to, fall off a bit again. People went back to fighting each other for crumbs and stuff instead of being as solid. So I think he's demonstrated an ability to bring people together and focus. Like Lindsay, I feel great in one regard in that the challenges are just so significant that the opportunity for success is really there. And I think if he's careful with the people, Lynn is right. If he puts the right people in the right positions and he draws on his relationships and his experiences with Annapolis and other folks, I think the potential is really, really good. But you can't underestimate the money challenges he's going to have. He's still got the tax cap in there. He's going to have to do some significant spending reductions. He's going to have to get some movement on the planning side of there in terms of some of these projects around the metro stations and get them all there. But those don't have turnarounds for 10 years. But he's got some real challenges. But I think he's also got an unprecedented opportunity. And I think there's legitimate basis for some real optimism.
How did he win it after losing it 2 times? How this time did he suddenly win it? And he won it easily in terms of what he was about 10,000 votes of the challenger, Michael Jackson, the sheriff, and he had 44% of the vote. Jackson had 33. Sam Dean had 13% of the vote. How did Baker put his coalition together to turn this thing this time around and do it so effectively?
I think he never stopped working. After the last election, he continued to campaign, to work hard, to reach out to people, to form alliances. I think it was a combination of that, hard work. He was out, as you know, he was in Bowie frequently, and he was everywhere else in the county. I also think his leading opponent, the sheriff, was the victim of a number of unfortunate, for him, faux pas towards the end of the election campaign. And I think he partly beat himself.
The other thing you can't forget is it takes a lot of money to run in a county this big. Prince George's County is larger than 6 states. There is no media to speak of here. There's no TV station in Prince George's County, no daily newspaper. So you got to spend a lot of money getting to meet people, and it takes a lot of money because it's such a large county. And he outraised everybody by a large margin.